Yeah.
Where were you in the 90s?
From 90 to 95, because it took me 5 years. I did college from then, but I also did a traveling experience. I went to Germany, and then I also spent some time in Japan because my wife was teaching English in Japan. So I was traveling a little bit and kind of was out of touch with American pop culture for a good bit of 96 and 97. And I got married in 98. So it was a busy decade, yeah.
And the internet also became popular in the 90s, I believe.
Yes.
What is the effect, do you think, that internet has had on our society today?
Oh, God, I don't know. I'm still assessing it. I graduated from college in 95, and I had read an article of what the internet was going to be, because Netscape didn't debut until late 1995. I want to say November 1995. So even until my first couple of years of teaching, I don't think it was about until 2001 that they actually had a computer in our classroom. And then just since then, it's revolutionized the way we teach. God, when I teach U.S. history, YouTube, space landings, or Soviet Union military parades on the Red Square, or why read Kennedy's speech when you can watch Kennedy's speech? So there's so many positives with it, but then you look at child pornography, child predators, these chat rooms, and these nutball bloggers who know nothing about a topic create a website, and then students research it and say, oh, but Bob at bob.com says this. There's a lot of negatives about the internet that I'm not totally sold that it's a great thing in slice bread. It's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but with every new invention, there's often a negative side effect. Every invention is sort of a double-edged sword. It's great on one side, but it's really bad on the other. So I'm still trying to figure it out.
All right.
Okay, I'm Petra, and I'll be singing Spice Girls. Yeah. Okay. Yo, tell me what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I really, really, really want a zig-a-zig. If you want my future, forget my past. If you wanna get with me, better make it last. Now don't go wasting my precious time. Get your act together, it will be just fine.
What were you doing in the 90s?
In the 90s, I was a young mother. I was in my 30s, and I had 4 children in 1991, 92, 94, and 96. So I was very busy raising the kids. It was fashionable to take the children to karate and to play soccer and gymnastics, and so I did a lot of that. I was a stay-at-home mother. I spent my afternoons around 4 o'clock watching Oprah every day, and hopefully put the kids down for a nap. And I was very involved in Oprah's book club. I read every book that she recommended and really enjoyed that.
Do you remember what you would have worn?
I think as a mom at home, I wore very casual clothes, jeans, not flared jeans necessarily, but straight leg jeans and big sweaters, and I don't remember specific fashions during that time. And it was also the time of Clinton and Reagan, the first Bush. The Cold War ended, and that changed the political scene in the world because we were no longer at war with Russia in the way that we had been, so that calmed down. I don't remember anything else politically off the top of my head.
Thank you. So what first comes to mind when you think of the 90s?
High school.
Cool. Great. So what were some fashion trends with kids in high school at that time?
High school was pretty low-key. Girls wore big, baggy T-shirts, and they tucked them in the front and left them hanging in the back. Bangs, had those straight bangs that girls wore. I can't think of boys too much what they wore. But middle school was the leggings, the stirrup pants, crimping your hair, side ponytails, very colorful.
So as a teen, what kind of music did you like to listen to in the 90s?
My parents raised me on country, but then when I hit high school, I started getting into other pop music. My first concert was NSYNC.
Awesome.
Where were you in the 90s?
I was in elementary and middle school. Started middle school at the end of the 90s.
Alright. What movies do you remember from the 90s?
Home Alone 1 was big, the first Home Alone. I watched it all the time on my VHS player. Other movies, Free Willy. We were going to see Free Willy in the theaters, as well as The Muppets Christmas Carol. I saw it in the theaters in the 90s. Tall Tales. I went to see The Lion King. I'm trying to think of other movies I saw. Those are the ones I remember.
Do you remember any artists from the 90s?
I really like None for Blonde. Their one-hit wonder. Their artist Jewel was huge in the 90s. Although I listened to a lot of country in the 90s, so I don't like to admit that though.
Do you remember any styles of dressing people were wearing?
In the later 90s, Jinko jeans were huge, and you had to have Jinkos. So they were just baggy, and this was the pant leg, and then it went straight down.
What do you think of when you hear the 90s?
I don't know, maybe like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, kind of like that era. I don't know. Nothing really else. I was kind of too young to have anything going on in the 90s.
Do you remember what older kids dressed like kids that were in high school at that time?
Not really. I mean, I know obviously it's different from now, but I mean, I don't know. I probably know more about the 80s or 70s or 60s more than the 90s. I don't think it was very trendy.
Okay, Mr. Gerhardt, so if you could sum up the 90s in one word, what would it be?
Wow, the 90s. How about the Packers winning the Super Bowl?
Okay. All right, nice. And I'm guessing you were at Oshkosh West still at the 90s?
Oh, yes. I just started my third year teaching here and about my 10th year coaching here in the early 1990s.
Awesome. Cell phone usage first became very popular in the 90s. What are your thoughts about early cell phones?
I remember having the bag phone underneath my front seat of my car and thinking that I was so cool because I had a bag phone that was portable and looked like a dork carrying it around. I remember the phones being real big, but it was a new technology that everybody else was used to being plugged into the wall. I think that's probably also when you got the cordless phones started in homes and things too, and answering machines was pretty cool to have. You could get your messages and so on.
What were you doing in the 90s?
90s, busy time. Working, raising 2 kids, also had a family business, wholesale footwear business, and teaching. Very, very busy time.
So you were teaching. Do you remember the kind of fashion trends that the kids had at school?
I think we were coming out of the 80s. Still big hair, big earrings. I think the shoulder pads were big, but they were shrinking. I remember parts of that.
Do you remember some of the popular bands from the 90s?
Popular bands, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, only because I had a daughter. I was raising a daughter at that time, and I remember we had to drive to Milwaukee because we got some tickets and took her and her girlfriends to see Backstreet Boys and waited all night, left at 1 in the morning, until the girls were done and brought them back home. That was big in our home.
You are my fire, the one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way. We are 2 worlds apart. Can't reach to your heart when you say I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I want it